If you were often told you were so mature for your age, this might explain more about your life than you realize. Because being the mature one rarely meant you felt ready. It usually meant you learned early that someone needed you to hold it together. Being mature didn't mean you had all the answers. It meant you noticed tension before words were spoken. It meant you learned when to stay quiet, when to be agreeable, when to put your own feelings aside to keep the peace. You didn't become mature because you wanted to grow up faster. You became mature because the environment required it. Maybe the adults around you were overwhelmed. Maybe emotions were unpredictable. Maybe conflict felt unsafe. So you adapted. You learned how to read rooms. You learned how to anticipate needs. You learned how to be easy so no one had to worry about you. As a child, this kind of maturity was not a personality trait. It was a survival strategy. It helped you stay connected. It helped you stay needed. It helped you avoid becoming a problem. And it worked. You became reliable, self-sufficient, emotionally contained. But what helped you survive as a child often becomes exhausting to carry as an adult. As an adult, you may struggle to ask for help, not because you don't need it, but because needing feels unfamiliar, even unsafe. You might feel uncomfortable being taken care of. Rest can bring guilt instead of relief. You may feel responsible for other people's emotions, even when no one asked you to be. You're often the one others lean on, the listener, the fixer, the steady presence. Yet when it comes to your own needs, you minimize them, delay them, or convince yourself they're not that important. Many people who grew up being the mature one feel a strange split inside. On the outside, you feel older than your peers, wise, grounded, composed. On the inside, there may be parts of you that feel younger, tender, unseen, unsure, still waiting for permission to need. Because while you were busy being strong, some parts of you never got to be held. It's important to understand this. There is nothing wrong with you. You weren't too sensitive. You weren't born anxious. You weren't naturally distant or overly responsible. You adapted intelligently to what you were given. Your nervous system learned what kept you safe. Your emotional world organized itself around responsibility. That wasn't weakness, that was resilience. Still, survival is not the same as living. What protected you then doesn't have to define you now. You're allowed to need support without earning it. You're allowed to rest without explaining why. You're allowed to be unsure, emotional, and human. You don't have to keep proving your strength to deserve care. Healing doesn't mean rejecting your maturity. It means adding softness to it, letting yourself receive, letting yourself be imperfect, letting someone else carry the weight sometimes. You can still be capable without being responsible for everyone. Being the mature one helped you survive, but you don't have to stay in survival mode forever. You're allowed to grow into something new, not stronger, but more supported. And if this resonates, know this: you're not alone, and it was never your fault.